Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Gita Memoirs of a Psychiatrist. Hello, Lou.
Hello, how are we doing today?
Good. So, we are at the tail end of chapter 7 of the Gita. We are today going to be doing verses 25, 26, and 27, which will leave us only three verses for next week. And then what we'll do is a field trip. Either we'll do the three verses, last three, and then a field trip, or we'll do a field trip first and then the three verses after. We'll see. But verse 25, chapter 7 says, "Veiled by Yogamaya, I am not manifest to all. This deluded world knows me not, the unborn, the imperishable." So Yogamaya means an illusion born of the union of the three gunas or three qualities. Remember, we spoke about sattva,
Yes.
tamas, rajas, and those are, he refers to them here as Yogamaya. And that because of them, by being blanketed by them, by being covered by them, I'm not manifest to all. This deluded world knows me not because I'm unborn and I'm imperishable. I don't die, I'm not born. So again, it's the same repetition of what we did in the last episode to some extent. But really, if you take the ocean and you imagine that the ocean never was born and never dies, you can't take this example literally to the extreme, but for the most part, understand that it never is born, never dies. But the waves are born and die within. So the ocean projects itself as a wave, as a small wave, a small ripple, a massive tsunami, and then the wave itself dies back down into the ocean. The ocean is always there, steadfast on the ocean, while the waves come and go. They're born, they die, but the ocean never ceases to be. Same thing like gold and gold ornaments. The gold ornaments can be melted down, made again into a different form, but the gold always ceases to be. By the way, that's the reason gold was considered to be one of the most valuable substances, because they said nothing can ever happen to gold. You can't destroy it. It's
Yes.
not like water that evaporates and becomes water vapor or any other form. This gold doesn't get destroyed. Or like cotton, in cotton fabrics, the fabric may be destroyed, but the cotton remains. So that was verse 25. And verse 26, it says, "O Arjuna, I know the beings of the past, of the present, and of the future, but no one knows me," is what Brahman says. So I know people who are here today, but I know the present, the current. I don't know people. When he says past, he means past lives. Not,
Right.
Last year I met somebody and I see him and I say, "Oh, I remember you from the past." He means from the past before this life and from the future. Brahman says, I know everybody from previous years, from previous lives, from the present, from the future, because it's all me. You only know what's in your current life. Now, again, you can't take that too literally, because there are holes in this argument, because there are people who say, I lived before and I do remember my husband from the past or whatever. That's another area of interest of mine, reincarnation. And it's been documented that these people have known people from their previous lives, but let's not take it to that extreme.
In one of our earlier episodes, though, you talked about with hypnosis, getting people into their previous lives.
Yes, I've seen that with hypnosis and been able to document it. It's absolutely fascinating, but I think that's an extreme. Most people, 99.9% of human beings, only know their present lives. Verse 27, "O Bharata, by the delusion of the pairs of opposite arising from desire and aversion, arising from the delusion of the pairs of opposites arising from desire and aversion, all beings are subject to illusion at birth." Lots packed into one verse. So a person is born because he has desires from previous lives. That's the main reason he's born, because his desires were not fulfilled. If you have no more desires left, you become self-realized, and you have no more desires at that time, you're not born again. So you reach nirvana.
Hmm.
You reach the moksha. You don't need to be born again. Anybody who is born has vasanas, desires, and those are all from his previous lives. Therefore, when a child is born, those vasanas are evident from an early age, and they become maximum availability and show themselves in
Right.
their adolescent years, not until then. But you are surprised sometimes there's twins and triplets, and they're exact identical twins, and they're so different in their vasanas. This one likes this and the other one likes something exactly opposite. What we do with these vasanas, these desires, then is we tend to foster our likes, and automatically, because we foster our likes, the exact opposite becomes our dislike or our aversion. So we like something, and as a result, the opposite is what we don't like. So the opposites are born because of our likes. So you like light, therefore you will not like darkness. So we create the opposites, and we create our aversions to those opposites.
Right.
So we are born to fulfill these vasanas, right? We said that the reason we're born is because we want to take another life in order to fulfill our desires. So we're born to fulfill these vasanas. Throughout our life, these, I like this, I don't like this. These are called raga and dvesha. I like this, I don't like this.
Right.
Throughout your life, you feed your desires and you feed your dislikes towards the opposite. Your desires, we've talked about this many times, it bears repeating. You desire something, if you don't get it, it turns to anger.
Hmm.
You get it, you want more, that turns to greed.
Right.
Anger and greed together are two of the gateways to hell. We've talked about this, where the Gita says, the scriptures say, those are the two among three gateways to hell. Arrogance, jealousy are the other manifestations of desire, also coming from desire. And
And for the
all of the,
Western culture, hell in its reference turns to constant mental disturbance, right?
that's right. So
Yeah.
good point, Lou. You remember all these things.
Yeah.
So
Well, certain words trigger things in the Western culture. When we talk about gods, when we talk about sin, when we talk about hell, we have certain perceptions of that growing up in Western religions, but they have different meanings here.
yeah, so Lou and I have talked about this, and I think we talked about it on previous episodes, that hell is not a geographic place. It's not some place that's underneath the ground and you go into the subterrestrial areas where there's fires burning, nothing like that.
Right.
Hell, according to the scriptures, Hindu scriptures, says that when your mind is continually thinking, agitated, never gives you any peace, that is considered hell.
Right.
So desires such as anger, greed, arrogance, jealousy, all of these emotions come from desire that is not fulfilled. Those create great disturbance in the mind. You get confused, you get agitated. And when you get confused, agitated, you can't think straight.
Right.
So, what is the purpose of the intellect, the buddhi? The mind says, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. The intellect says, no, you shouldn't have it. It's not right. You are a wealthy man. You have more wealth sitting there, but you can't have it because it's not yours. You can't. But the desire says, I want it. The
Right.
intellect says, no, you can't have it. You'll get in trouble. You'll go to jail. Like, what's his name? Madoff. But the desire comes on so strong. There's an open safe, nobody watching. You say, there's nobody watching. Let me take some big bundles of cash from here. You now go to jail. Why? Because your intellect was blinded by the great desire for that money. You reached and you stole it because you lost your judgment. Your desire and your like for money became so powerful that it got you confused. You were deluded by it. You did not think about the consequences. You blocked out what your intellect saying, don't do it, don't do it. And you decided your action based on your mind, not on your buddhi or your intellect.
And it doesn't have to be criminal. Sometimes it's a lot more subtle than that. It can just be food. It can just be pleasure of any source. And your
Yeah, yeah.
desire is relentless. It never gives up. Whether you satiate it, whether you get what you want, you're never satisfied and you go back for more. So that desire is relentless. It's constantly pursuing you.
Yes, and that desire, it's a vicious cycle. You have a desire, you like something, you dislike something else. So when you have a desire that you like, and that like keeps building throughout your life, and you are about to get it, you're not able to control it and say, no, I know I like it, but I can't have it. At this point in my life, I cannot have it. So it's like a boy seeing a rope, but mistaking it for a snake. He develops fear for no reason. Same
Right.
thing. It's an illusion. You see the snake and you become fearful. So don't forget, these likes and dislikes also come as a result of these illusions where you develop emotions such as fear through the illusion of things that you see and misinterpret for something else. You don't really see the self with a capital S. You don't see Brahman. You do not see bliss or infinity. You only see what you want to see or what you think you can see.
Right.
You don't see immortality. You are seeing mithya, maya, an illusion. In this illusion, you have your desires, likes and dislikes, raga, dvesha. They don't go with the world. Why? Because the world is constantly changing. You say, I like this, and you go towards it, but the world changes and it's no longer there.
Right.
So the likes and dislikes create opposites, pairs of opposites. Those are called dvandvas. And the I like itself creates the opposite. I like, therefore I don't like. It has automatically created an opposite. I like light, therefore I dislike the dark, which is the opposite. The
And what we
more,
should seek is equanimity between the opposites, right? We want to stay from each extreme of the opposite.
yeah, we talked last time or one of those episodes in the past about Lord Ganesh. If you look at Lord Ganesh, who has a head of an elephant, he has two tusks. One tusk is broken and the other is long. And the mythology says the moon laughed at him because he said something, you're fat or you're big and you ride a mouse. Those are all mythological stories. And what Ganesh did was he took his tusk and he broke it in half and he threw the broken piece of his tusk towards the moon. That's all mythological stories for the common person.
Right.
But in reality, it says a self-realized person, such as Ganesh, he is so much aware that there are opposites and in life that he recognizes that even his two tusks are not the same. One is full, long, and one is broken. So those more powerful your likes and dislikes are, the more agitated you become. So what's the problem here? And this is the key. When you say, what's the problem? What caused this? People say desires. Desires cause this. Well, desires cause your likes, desires cause your dislikes. But really, what caused it was your ignorance, right? The desire came about because of your ignorance. So it's not the desires that's the base of the problem.
And again, I want to go to the word ignorance because again, that has certain meanings with certain people. And what we're talking about here is lack of knowledge of the illusion.
Yes, good point.
It's not general ignorance. It's just lack of understanding of the illusions that are changing your behavior.
I'm glad you're here, Lou. You're right. It's not ignorance of mathematics or geography or English or literature or grammar. It's the spiritual ignorance, the ignorance of spirituality, what we're talking here. So the manifestation of these desires is the likes and dislikes. And the desire actually comes because of ignorance of the Brahman behind it.
Right.
So what is the solution? The solution is to get rid of the ignorance by gaining this knowledge as you are doing right now.
Right.
So this is a good point for you. As you get this knowledge, your ignorance starts to disappear. Your desires start to lessen. I would love to hear from you to see, as you're getting this knowledge, which you don't have to do anything. You don't have to study. I don't ask you to take this and sit down and say a certain prayer every time and write notes and nothing. You just have to listen to this. It just seeps in automatically. It's like your brain just picks it up and takes it. You might have to listen to it more than once for you to get deeper and deeper into each one of these examples and what we're talking about. But it goes inside, just seeps in, and like water to a plant, a dry dirt in a flower pot, as you put water into it, just seeps in and the plant flourishes. So similarly, as we all get this knowledge, it just goes in there and you start to feel better and your desires get less. You will notice that. I can tell you from personal experience.
Yeah, very true.
So we have only 3 more verses left, Lou, for chapter 7. And we'll do that next time, either the next episode or the one after that.
Excellent. Wrap up chapter 7 and then another field trip, right? We're going to take a field trip.
We'll take a field trip, yes. Those field trips have seemed to be very popular with people. So friends,
great. Yeah.
Write to us and tell us what you like, what you don't like, your raga, your dvesha, what you like and dislike.
Facebook page, Gita, The Memoirs of a Psychiatrist. That's where you can contact us if you want to take these along on your ride, on your commute, to listen in the backyard. Any audio-only podcast outlet, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify are the big ones, but we're on a couple other outlets as well. So you can find us. We're, 85 episodes in there?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's plenty of material to go through if you're interested in hearing more.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.